Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're a new subscriber, welcome. And if you're watching this and you have not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and click the subscribe button. Welcome back to all my old subscribers. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about HIV. So we're back to seriousness. I hope you guys enjoyed my previous video. I wanted to try a little bit something a little different and break between all the serious topics that I was covering. So if you haven't already checked that out, please go ahead and check it out. And the video I did before that, I did my role in HIV research. So I thought it would only be fitting that in this video I do an HIV 101 as promised. So in this video I'm going to be talking all things HIV, basics of HIV, how you can get it, how you can prevent yourself from getting it. I'm going to be discussing and talking a little bit about around HIV stigmatization, and then I'm going to be answering a few of you guys' questions that you sent me on my Instagram page at BlackGirl.Scientist. If you're not already following me on Instagram, please go ahead and follow me there because I interact with you guys there and ask you questions and answer questions as well. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Okay, so as I mentioned, today's video is going to be everything HIV. So I'm going to start with the basics of HIV. HIV stands for human immunodeficiency virus, and it causes AIDS, which is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. So HIV causes AIDS. This is something that I've covered before in my previous videos, and HIV is a chronic illness. There's no cure for HIV, and people who are infected with HIV live with HIV for their entire life. However, now with the advent and efficacy of antiretroviral therapy or ART, people who are infected with HIV and are taking their treatment properly and efficiently can live to a near normal lifespan. So how can you get HIV? In Africa and globally, the major the route of transmission of getting HIV is through heterosexual unprotected sex. So this is when you have sex with an HIV infected person without using a condom. So that is the major route by which HIV is transmitted from an infected person to an uninfected person. So based on the age and the kind of reach of my audience right now, I really want to emphasize practicing safe sex. The only way you cannot get HIV is by either one, abstaining, or two, practicing safe sex. That's having sex with a condom. So do not trust your partner if they say they're HIV negative unless you have seen proof. Even with the proof, there's an HIV window period where if you've done an antibody test, the test will not be able to detect that the person has been infected with HIV because it's too early an infection and the body has not produced antibodies against HIV. So when you go and do an HIV antibody test, obviously the test is going to say that you are HIV negative. Guys, please, I promise you, you're not invincible. You will get infected with HIV if you have sex, unprotected sex, with an HIV infected person. So please, both men and women, be responsible and practice safe sex. That's the major route of transmission. And the second one, this is not in order of frequency or how often people get HIV in this way anymore. It's from blood transfusions and also mother-to-child transmission. And also in the sex, which I forgot to mention, this includes oral sex. So it's not just penetrative sex. It includes oral sex and anal sex. If you have any one of those three sexes with an HIV infected person, you will get infected with HIV. So that is how people usually acquire infection. How can you prevent yourself from getting infection? So like I said, practicing safe sex, using a condom, having one partner, and your partner as well, having one partner as well at a time. The most important thing is to practice safe sex. That's how you can prevent yourself from getting HIV. You can also get HIV, people who are drug users, by sharing of needles. And so that covers the basics of HIV. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the stigmatization around HIV, which is still a major problem in our country and on our continent, where people who are infected with HIV are usually shunned from society, you know, if they disclose their status. And this actually discourages people from wanting to know their status. And all of this is a domino effect. It perpetuates HIV transmission. And I just want to say to you guys that people who are infected with HIV are normal people. They have nothing to do with you. You shouldn't look down on anyone who's infected with HIV. So that part makes me really sad, is that in our communities and people are really shunned from society and looked down upon when they are infected with HIV. So yeah, that covers like the basics and the stigmatization around HIV. And so I asked you guys on my Instagram, BlackGirlScientist, a few questions, any myths that you guys have heard about HIV, any questions that you want me to answer. If you have any questions at the end of this video, please leave me a comment down below and I will be happy to answer your questions and elaborate further on any topics that you guys want to know about. So I'm going to be going on to the topics for discussion. So these were the questions that you guys sent me. Yeah, so if you guys, like I said, if you're not following me on Instagram, please go ahead and follow me. I've linked it down below at my Instagram page at BlackGirl.Scientist. So the first question that I got, which is a major topic that I wanted to cover, is on treatment. How do ARVs, PEP and PrEP work? Side effects and long-term outcomes. So this is a really great question. The first thing I'm going to cover about treatment, which is what I said before, people who are infected with HIV go on antiretroviral therapy. So in as by the guidelines by you know, the government and WHO and the CDC, we now do a test and treat. So people, when they go and test for HIV, they are put on treatment immediately. It's no longer like before, where we have to wait for a person's CD4 count to drop below 200, and that person now would actually be classified as having AIDS when your CD4 count is below 200. So this means that the healthy cells in your body are really low and your immune system is really struggling. So now it's test and treat. No matter what your CD4 count is, if you go to the clinic, to a pharmacy, anywhere, and you test for HIV and your test comes out positive, you will be put on treatment immediately. So that question was, how does ARVs work? So how ARVs work is that they target actively replicating virus. So ARVs are antiretroviral drugs, or anti-HIV drugs as they're called. And now, I don't know if you guys are aware, but before, people used to take more than one drug, so multiple drugs. But now the ARTs, these drugs are combined into one pill. So how the ARVs work is that they target actively replicating virus by targeting steps in the HIV replication cycle, whether it's preventing the HIV from binding to a healthy cell, whether it's preventing once the HIV enters the cell and is going to form a new virus or virion that is going to bud off that cell, whether it prevents that budding process. All these drugs target a specific step in the HIV replication cycle. So for example, the nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitors, or NRITs, they block the HIV replication cycle by inhibiting reverse transcriptase, which is an essential enzyme for the generation of HIV DNA. So ARVs in general, they inhibit various viral enzymes which are critical to the HIV replication cycle. So these are critical in ensuring that the HIV replication cycle goes on. And this is a major mechanism by which HIV works in infecting the body. It infects healthy cells, instructs the cell to produce new virus, and these virions bud off from the cell and then go and infect new cells. So what ARVs do is they target these actively replicating viruses. They target steps in the replication cycle. Second part of that question was PEP. PEP is post-exposure prophylaxis. So this is a cocktail of drugs which is only used in an emergency. So it's only usually given to victims of rape, or if you've had sex and the condom is broken, if you think you have been exposed to HIV in any way, if you've had a needle stick into an injury, you go on PEP. So this is post-exposure prophylaxis. This is a short course of ARV drugs which is taken up to 72 hours after exposure. However, it has been said that the sooner PEP is started, the better. So this works by stopping the virus from replicating after recent exposure. So the virus is not then able to establish infection. PEP has been said to lower the risk of if you've been exposed to HIV, you actually acquiring HIV by 80%. So it's super effective. And then another part of that question was PrEP, which is the newer kind of drugs that have been introduced and are super exciting and really give me hope for HIV prevention and cure. So this is pre-exposure prophylaxis. This is usually Truvada, the drug that is given, which is a combination of tenofovir and emtricitabine. So this is given to people who are HIV negative. So people who experience seasons of risk of becoming infected with HIV. It was when it was first approved by the FDA in 2012, I think, for sex workers, so they could use them to prevent themselves from getting infected. Now, a major thing about PrEP is that you have to be HIV negative. You go on PrEP and you take a pill a day at the same time. So what this does is build up the level of drug in your body. So how it works is that when they build up in the body, they can stop HIV from replicating and then establishing infection if you happen to be exposed to it. So remember, when you're on PrEP, you're HIV negative and you're preventing yourself from getting infected with HIV. So it only works if you take it. So you have to adhere to it, just like taking a pill, a contraceptive pill. You have to take it every day at the same time every day. So that is on ARVs, PEP, and PrEP. And the second question that I got is, can I have an HIV positive partner while I am HIV negative? So yes, these are called serodiscordant couples. So this means one partner is infected with HIV and the other partner is not. So this is also where PrEP can come into play, where the HIV negative partner is on PrEP and the HIV positive partner make sure that they adhere to their antiretroviral therapy and they taking their medication every day as well. So basically what happens with people who are on treatment, if they take their medication very well, their viral load drops and it can become very low and even lower than the level of detection, which is 50 RNA copies per ml in the blood. So once the HIV viral load of an infected person is really low, their chances of transmission are dramatically slashed. So serodiscordant couples, the HIV positive partner, make sure that they are adhering to their treatment. The HIV negative partner can be on PrEP now in this case, and of course practice they can practice safe sex, so to keep the HIV negative partner HIV negative. So yeah, thank you for that question. That's also a really important question. Another question that I got is, how does one have a negative partner and a baby yet they are positive? So in having a baby, as you guys know, you have to have had unprotected sex. So the sperm has to fertilize an egg. So in people who are serodiscordant, as I just explained, serodiscordant couples, you can have the positive partner on PrEP, the negative partner, you have to be HIV negative to be on PrEP, and the positive partner has an extremely low viral load. So when this happens and then they have unprotected sex, the partner, I assume a question you mean in this case is when the mother is HIV positive, because she's the one who's going to be carrying the baby. So yeah, so then she becomes pregnant, and now a huge win for HIV cure studies was the prevention of mother-to-child transmission. So now these mothers go on a special course of ARVs, which prevent their baby from getting infected with HIV. This ensures that there's no blood mixing between the unborn baby and the mother. So in studies that have studied mother-to-child transmission, the major ways in which the baby can become infected is actually during delivery in utero, so while the baby's still in their mother's uterus, or from breastfeeding. Yeah, so that's how you can have a serodiscordant couple where the mother is HIV positive, however has an HIV negative partner as well as an HIV negative baby. So yeah, those were the 3 major questions that I wanted to cover. I don't want to make this video too long. If you have any other questions related to HIV, please go ahead and leave me a comment down below, and I'll be happy to answer those questions for you. Please also connect with me on my social media, and we can take the conversation there and discuss any other topics around HIV that you guys want me to discuss. So that brings me to the end of my video. If you like this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys on the next video.